Hi everyone, thank you for joining in yet again. We're just waiting for Rahul to join in from Group DCA. We're just waiting for them. Just bear with us for a couple of minutes. Hi everybody, thank you so much for joining in. We're just waiting for Rahul to accept the request. I'm just going to try and text him once. Hi everybody, thank you so much for joining in. We'll be starting in a couple of minutes. Just bear with us. We'll be talking about the use of stone in commercial and residential design. And we are just waiting for Rahul Bansal to join us. Yes. And Rahul is here.
Hi.
Hi Rahul, how are you?
How are you? I'm fine, thank you.
Yes. So I think everybody can see us now, and we're good to start. We already have an audience waiting for us. We're talking about the use of stone in commercial and residential design today, and we have Rahul Bansal, who's partner at Group TCA, with us. I'll just quickly introduce Group TCA. I don't think they need an introduction, but Group DCA is a multidisciplinary architecture and interior design firm based out of New Delhi. Founded in the year 1996 by architects Amit Arora and Rahul Bansal, who graduated from SPA. The firm has, to its credit, remarkable, award-winning, widely acclaimed projects across diverse typologies such as residential, retail, luxury retail, hospitality, and workspaces. Both the partners, through their expertise, contribute towards the firm's robust image in the design industry, with a special focus on delivering design excellence with innovation, collaboration, and value engineering. Rather than following current trends or designing for the short term, the studio believes in sustainable design, which is exclusive, well-balanced, contextual, and fosters practicality. A conscious effort is also made to use local and sustainable materials and technology, which in turn reinforces traditional crafts and skill sets of the craftsman while minimizing an impact on the environment. Group DCA has projects they've made a mark across India, South Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. So thank you, Rahul, for sparing some time. So the theme for today is the use of stone in commercial and residential design. How do you think stone contributes in spatial experiences when it comes to projects of this nature?
Thank you very much for this platform. First of all, I think we have to understand commercial and residential. They're two totally different aspects altogether. Actually, they're opposites of each other. So when it comes to commercial designing, in my opinion, it is about you're designing for other people actually, especially in the retail segment. So it's more like designing for somebody else, that it has to impress people and how it looks, and that actually starts from the facade itself. And the first impression has to be really impactful. When it comes to residential designing, it's actually you're designing for the end user, the person who's occupying the house. So I think the two, you have to be very, very careful in designing how you take care of both the aspects in commercial and residential. So, in my opinion, it's always the first impact. Is there something wrong?
No, no. We can hear you, Rahul. We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. We can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. So commercial and residential both are absolutely opposites of each other. So when it comes to commercial, my approach is the first impression is the facade, and a lot of the projects require we are using stone on the facade, which give the first impression and as to how it looks and what impression it's casting. As soon as when you enter the project, the flooring and the materials which you're using on the floor, the combinations that creates a lot of impact. As far as residential is concerned, it truly actually reflects the personality of the end user who's occupying the house. So the kind of stone which you use for the floorings, the bathrooms, the front elevation, landscaping, driveway, there are so many aspects in which flooring is being used. So as an architect, you have to be very sensitive, what kind of project we are doing and how we use the stone to reflect the purpose it is trying to solve, both in commercial and residential. Yeah.
Sure. So, can you tell us, your work is quite sustainable, right? You use a lot of local materials, you use a lot of local stones. How do you think stones as a material, help you in reflecting the sustainable ideology in your designs?
I think sustainability is a very important subject in today's time. And in my opinion, stone, by its intrinsic nature, is not sustainable. We can compare it to timber because it's a natural material. It is not so sustainable to use stone. Yeah. Having said that, it's a very important material to use in our projects. Not from today, from I think centuries, stone is being used. So as architects, how we can be sensitive to the subject of sustainability, I think it starts right from sourcing of the stone itself, which means the mining of stone has to be ethical. And we as architects should promote and propagate buying stone where we are sure that the mining is ethical. Supply of stone, which means there is less, transportation costs can be controlled. That is also contributing back to sustainability. Third most important aspect for me is technology. When we buy stone, we should always, technology helps in reducing wastage. So when we buy stone from, for example, A-class and the processing units which they have, the way they cut the stone, that technology has to be understood because a lot of emphasis is laid on reducing wastage. I think that's also contributing back to sustainability. So I'm trying to say that we can't avoid using stone. It is a very important part of architecture for centuries now. But how we can reduce the problems, that is one part. Now comes the part, this is more related to supply, sourcing, supplying, transportation and all those things. But another very important aspect about stone is laying of the stone. Traditionally, I think India has a huge talent pool of marble layers, everybody knows about it. Right from historical times, the talent which we have of marble laying community in India is immense. I don't think anywhere in the world it's like that. In fact, when I have clients from abroad or who come and see, and they get really shocked that without using the technology which is available to the Western world, they are able to do wonders. So that's a fact. So when we use stone, we are providing employment to these people and trying to contain that craft and art in the respective area which we are operating. So at DCA, we have projects all over India. And I think I see this happening, that whether I'm doing a project in Bulandshahr or Haldwani or Banaras or Surat, Rajkot, there is some community, mostly from either Rajasthan or Calcutta or Marwadi community, who are really good in laying stone. They may not be from that area. They may have come from like a project in Bulandshahr, but the stone layer may be from Rajasthan. So we are keeping that community, that whole art and craft alive. I think so that is something which we can directly impact. So I think that is something how we are really contributing back to sustainability.
Yeah, so I think that is also being truly sustainable, right? Instead of adding sustainability as a layer.
Yeah, and then it goes on and on. At the end of the day, it's not just laying stone. They can carve and they can make jalis, they can make patterns, they can do such amazing stuff in stone, I know that now CNC machines are available to do that. So that's another way of looking at it. Some things cannot be done by hand. You have to use technology. But by and large, I think keeping the craft alive is already a huge contributing factor towards sustainability as far as stone is concerned.
So, we have our audience here is, a lot of people are from the design domain and end users as well. So it would be very interesting if you could share some sort of, your expertise on, let's say, when you have to pick up a stone for a residential project, what are the qualities that you look for? And also, I'd like to ask you the same question for commercial projects as well.
I think for me personally, the most important quality is I do a reverse engineering where I would see the client what his budget is, period. Because I think stone is available from 50 rupees a square foot to 5,000 or maybe more also, I don't know. Then it goes into semi-precious category. So very important for me is the price point. Now, as architects, we can judge the price point by, interacting with the client. We can come to know what is his budget and what is he going to spend. Yeah. So first you cap it with a budget. Like let's say if you want to use stone of 300 rupees a square feet, or maybe you'll go to 400 maximum. So then don't look for stones above 400 rupees a square feet. Look for stones which are below 400 rupees a square feet. And then use our skill as architects and designers to work within that so that the design goes through. And you don't want to end up making a design which, you worked so hard and created a design with the stone and everything, and at the end of the day, the client says, "Mera to itna budget hi nahi hai." So budget is most important. Once the budget is done, and within this budget you can use these stones, whether it's Indian or imported, doesn't matter. That's something else to discuss about. Once you've selected that, then you work on the design. In the design, my personal philosophy is that keep it bold and simple and use lesser colors. So you use one base color and maybe 2 or 3 colors, so it should not be too complicated. And obviously, it also depends on the theme of the space you're designing. So that is also very important to reflect in the usage of stone. The last part I would like to point out in this question is the property of stone itself. Because I think stone has a lot of attitude. It's more like, it's like a living thing. So it has nature, it has habits, it has got, it's got its own personality. So one has to know what it is. One should not blindly just use any stone ki ye acha lag raha hai laga do, and then later it fails. It could be the strength of the stone, it could be the porosity of the stone, it could be how you work with it and how it performs, whether it's suited for that particular usage. So I think if you combine all those 3-4 things, like the first part was cost of the stone, properties of the stone, the color of the stone. That's what I would look for in selecting a stone for the project. And if you, then it works, it's quite a simple exercise.
So could you share like a couple of examples maybe for residential, like stones that work very well for residential projects and for commercial projects?
I think this is difficult because projects have so many variations, so many, deviations and variations. It's very tough to say. All I can say is that I don't know if that really answers this question, but you have to be sensitive to the project, and there cannot be one answer to this. This stone is suitable to a residential and this is suitable to a commercial. There cannot be. The only common point is that I would say if you're using a stone in commercial projects, make sure it can take the traffic. Yeah. The kind of use or abuse it's going to take, that is very important for the stone to bear all that. In a residential, you can choose to be a little bit more, playful, in the sense it doesn't have to, that kind of traffic is not there. So it's again, you have to look at the property of the stone and the project, what it is, what is the budget of the client, so on and so forth.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful. I think stone with attitude, that is a...
In residential, what I can say is that as a designer, what I can talk about, what I'd like to do is use seamless stone which flows from one room to the other, and not have different rooms with different stones.
Yeah.
Stone materials should be one seamless stone which continues from one space to another, so that it looks nice, And usually that stone should be a lighter color or a more everlasting, evergreen, timeless kind of this thing. But then there are some rooms which are very thematic, they have a concept in that room. So then things change.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. So my next question is that we also see a lot of experimentation when it comes to patterns in your designs, right? How does one like you have said that of course you have a preference for seamless tones, right, or lighter colors and lighter palettes. If one does want to play with patterns and textures in stone, then what could you share some tips with the audience?
See, the thing is, for me, if I'm using stone, if you don't make patterns or textures and use the stone to its for all its possibilities, then it's pointless to use stone, because then might as well put a tile, which is plain and straightforward. So again, like I said earlier, if you have to do pattern, it is again very project sensitive. What project are you trying to, I mean, what is a project? Supposing it's a luxury project, then the patterns cannot be very floral or sort of intricate. They need to be clean, simple, bold, more modern, but at the same time they should have some luxury element to it. So it depends on what is the typology of the project, as far as the pattern is concerned. So if we were to discuss, like for example, if we discuss a jewelry project, if it's a standalone jewelry project, like we've done plenty of them, in that project, like the first impression is the last impression. When a client enters that project, then the first impression is always in the central part of the space. So that is the area where you put all your energy to make a pattern and make it little intricate and make it little bold and timeless also, and something which is I would call it photogenic. If you take a picture, it looks beautiful, that sort of thing. Then all the other areas which go into services and circulation, keep it simple. So it depends on the kind of project you're dealing with. But in all these scenarios, it is very important to maybe not use too many materials. So use one base material and maximum 3 or 4. I would use 3 or 4 punch materials which you play with, so that it's kept rather simple.
Fair enough. Okay, my next question would be, we see DCA's work, and it also mentioned in your profile that you use a lot of materials in their raw form, right? Local stones, raw form, local craftsmen. Do you find that, how important is it for contextual materials, local materials, or natural elements to be a part of design? Just from an ideology perspective.
See, when we travel, we all travel a lot, right? We travel to, let's say, Europe, for example. I'm sure I can say this for everyone who's on this platform right now. We always are in awe of those buildings, which are historical buildings, the stone they're using. They're all in stone, by the way. So they're all old buildings made in stone, even in India. So when it is and that's a local material. In that part of the, historically speaking, it was not coming from somewhere else. So it was a local material they were using. There was no concrete and cement and all that sort of thing. So it looks so beautiful, so honest, and तब से लेके अभी तक वो buildings are looking timeless. They've never started looking out of fashion or out of time. So I think when you use natural material, that's what you're contributing. You're trying to natural materials, locally available materials, as far as possible. Many times there's a limitation. You cannot. It's not possible. The local material just doesn't solve the problem. But as far as possible, if you use local materials which are from that area or that region, it looks honest and always, the appeal lasts much longer. I mean, I would say forever. This has been historically proven. I'm clear about this. Yeah.
That's a very valid point. My last question to you before we take on the questions from the audience would be that everybody knows that you've designed the A-class showroom in Kishangarh, right? What was your approach to the design of the space? And if you can tell us a little bit of how how you use stone there. What was your approach to using stone for such a space?
Wow. So I think this particular project, first of all, I must congratulate A-class team to envision such a project. Because while we heard of other brands like, Classic Marble and all, the other brands doing showrooms and stuff like that. But for A-class to do such a fantastic project in Kishangarh. I think it was the first for us and first for, I think, for the trade as well. And the scale itself is phenomenal. So the approach now it's tough for our designers. Suddenly, how will you design such a huge marble showroom or a marble facility, leaving aside the processing and the go down area that doesn't require much designing, and a huge area. So how do you do it? So we took a two-pronged approach. First approach was to impress. So for all those who have seen that project, it's a double-lighted, huge scale where you're just not selling stone. Don't talk about stone. You just impress with the usage of stone. That's a space where you show how you can use stone, how it can impress, the combinations and various details possible. So it's just a lobby. It's like a lobby of like a 5-star hotel, but with a lot of usage of stone. So that was the first part, which was to impress. The second part was to indulge, which means that once you have seen that space, so this was the approach we used. Then there is another showroom next to it, which is a studio showroom, where it's business now. The architects or the clients who have come, or even the end users who come from all over India over there, they actually sit down to select and match, and so it's like more of a studio, not like a space where this is a space where actual working is happening. What marble do you need? What quantity? What will match with which color? Samples are being brought out and stuff like that. The last part of this project was the actual stone go down itself. So when you package all these three things together, I think it came out fantastic. And you can actually see, even if I'm sitting in Delhi, how they're using it. How somebody's coming, he sees that part which is to impress, and they feel, wow, this stone can be used like this. This is a good detail. Why don't we use this detail? And it also has like a bathroom and a conference room. It also has the office. It has actually residential suites also. So actual usage of stone can be done. I think as A-class, as they evolve, they can change some stones in that also, so that if some trend changes, they can change it. And the next part you can easily figure out, once you're impressed with the usage of stone, you can go into purchase of stone or selecting of stone. Last part is the go down, where all the lots are kept. All this is packaged into one box, and the last important thing on this was the front elevation. I think that also came out very nice. So it's all in all, I think, very, very interesting project for us to, yeah. And it's a total experience, right from where you land. Now there's an airport, so the flight lands, they pick you up and then indulge you in that whole experience, and then they, so it's quite satisfying.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm going to just take on a few questions from the audience before we close our session today. I'm just going to start from, we had quite a few actually when people joined in. Sorry, I'm just looking at the questions right now. A lot of people have just sort of waved and have really sort of liked the conversation. So somebody has asked, what is your favorite stone from India?
From India?
Yeah.
Oh, there are lots of them.
Give a couple of examples.
I particularly like this stone. Kafi sare naam hai. It's called mint, or Gwalior mint.
Right.
Gwalior stone, Gwalior mint. So I particularly like that stone a lot. Because it is consistent, easily available, thicknesses are available, and it's a very beautiful color. So that's my personal favorite. It's like light beige in color. So it's not one of those exotic stones, It's not an exotic stone. It's a mass stone, and I think it's a sandstone. I think I like that stone a lot.
That's nice. Yeah. Okay. Then Rishabh has asked, what are your views on the scope of quota in residential flooring?
I think fantastic. I mean, quota, if it's used properly in a residential flooring, it's a very, very good stone. Also it's because it's very, very, very hard stone. So it's a good stone to use for residential. But I think selection of stone and the what pattern you're using, what kind of tile size you're using, even we can make quota look even better by creating another texture. Nowadays so many textures are possible on stone. So the same good old quota you can do in leather finish, you can do in quarry finish, You can do in honing. You can do honing to it. You can remove the sheen, and even leathering can be done in different gradients. So different gradations of leathering. So all that when you do and create a pattern, I think it's a fantastic stone. And also one thing I like about Kota, the property of Kota is that all Kota stones, they're not uniform. So there is a subtle variation of color of in greens and grays and sometimes a little yellow also. So that variation in color looks fantastic.
It's also becoming very popular. Yeah, I think a lot of people are experimenting with it as well.
Yeah, but it's tough to find clients who like it, you know. That's the problem. That's the real problem. As a stone, it's fantastic. Many clients, they just don't like it. So that's what it is.
Architects love Kota. It's finding the clients who...
Yeah.
Okay. Unite for different projects.
Can't hear you.
Sorry, can you hear me?
No.
No.
I lost you there, Tanya. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, I'll repeat. So somebody has asked, could you explain the usage of newer finishes in granite as well as CNC patterns for granite?
Newer finishes in granite. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think besides, like I just mentioned, honing and quarry finish and sandblasting, all that has been there for a while now. I think the newer finishes is where or what one can attempt is where you mix few materials. Like if you mix granite with some other stone and do inlays or some patterns in it, that can be interesting. Where you can, but not too many materials. If you mix one or two materials with it in terms of geometric inlays and stuff like that, I think that can be very interesting. And I have seen some samples on that, some attempt in that direction where they're trying to fuse one or two materials together, with so that can be very interesting. Otherwise, the finishes remain the same.
Right. Okay. Ankit has asked, do you prefer imported white marble in external cladding?
Imported? No. I don't. But again,
any particular reasons why?
No particular reason, but it depends on what the project is actually speaking, and normally imported white marble, it would be really expensive, and if you're using it outside, the quantity will be a lot, so it'll really be it has to be within the budget. B, I don't think it can sustain well the extreme climates of India. Mostly our climate over here is extreme, right, from summers and winters, and then we have rains also in between.
Yeah.
So I don't think white marble can be pretty risky.
Right. Okay, thank you. I think there's some other questions that are not relevant to stone, so I will not get into details. I'd like to close two notes with you, Rahul. If you can bust one myth for us when it comes to stone application. There's so many myths about what stones to use and what not to. If you can share, your insights on any one myth and bust that myth for us.
I would, maybe it's something like, we see that we all know there are Indian marbles and then we say there are Italian marbles.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So the only myth is I think Italian marble comes from all over the world except Italy. And am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. Yeah.
So because I think the only myth is that when we say Indian marble, we all know it's from India. It's not coming from anywhere else. But when we say Italian marble, it's coming from all over the world except Italy. So Italy say there must be some marble coming, which will be only 5%. Rest 95% of the marble is not coming from Italy. So as architects, we should actually try and know, okay, where is this marble from? It's nothing wrong with it if it's not coming from Italy. Yeah. But we should know where is it coming from.
Great, thank you. And we're following this hashtag at A class, which is Let's Talk Design. So if you had to, as Group DCA in industry, what should one focus on? Let's talk design today.
I think focus, because marble is again it's like let's look at it like, or stone. Let's look at stone as a natural resource and use it responsibly.
Yeah, I think we'll also be using your thoughts on stone with an attitude later, because I think that's a very important point, and
Yeah.
you know, we all must respect stone for what its intrinsic character is, and only then, you know, sort of use it. Somebody's just asked, what thickness do you recommend for residential and commercial projects?
See, again, if it's for flooring, I think it should be nothing less than 20 mm.
Right.
And if it's for cladding, you can use 15, 16 mm. But more than the thickness, it is extremely important. This is something which I've also recently started getting more involved and appreciating, is how you lay the stone itself. That is very important, using the chemicals, you know, although that laying can be a little expensive. So if you lay the stone with the proper chemicals, brands like Mepe, Caracol, and so on and so forth, then you can reduce the thickness also by a mm or two. It's fine. But if you lay the stone with traditional methodology, जो मसाले के साथ पहले लगता था, then it has to be 20 mm. As far as flooring is concerned.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rahul. Thank you for everybody here. It was great to have you here with us. Look forward to catching up again. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.